What's up, everybody? Welcome on into the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins Lifestyle. Follow them on Instagram. They're chronicling their Onus Unplugged tour. What's the Onus Unplugged tour, Aslan? Well, it's them tricking out an RV, taking all around this great country of ours. They're going to be in South Bend, Indiana, when the Noles take on Notre Dame in November. And they're showing you pretty much how awesome you can make anything recreationally when you use Cummins products like the Onus generators. So go follow them on Instagram. It's all one word, Cummins Lifestyle. There are Noles behind this whole thing, helping out Noles. They see here on the screen. You see Jeff Cameron, Corey Clark, and myself, Aslan Hunjavandy, on your screen. Thanks for being here. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to warchant.com. It is the ultimate Seminoles sports source. You can actually hang out with two-thirds, the more important two-thirds of the screen, Jeff Cameron and Corey Clark, on Friday before the game with a meet and greet over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. That's in Tallahassee, Florida, obviously, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Come say hi. Free vitamin energy, I hear, Corey. Is that true? Free vitamin energy?
It's going to be there. It's going to be there, and I'm going to have a bushel of it, man. I'm going to have vitamin energy everywhere.
I want some vitamin energy. I need to restock. Aslan gave me some before we went to Ireland a year ago, and I just refound it and started using it again. I'm addicted. Let's go.
Yeah, well, you got some coming then, buddy.
All right, cool.
All right, so Florida State taking on number 25, Memphis, noon, ESPN. Florida State obviously 0-2, nowhere that anybody that followed this program, coaching staff included, thought they would be at this point. But give us some reasons for optimism, I guess, gentlemen. For you, Jeff, where, if any, optimism do you have? Is it based mainly on this extra bye week, giving Florida State kind of 2 weeks to get things right? Or is it simply there's just too much talent on this roster to not figure things out and flip their fortunes here with a win on Saturday?
I actually gone back and watched quite a bit of Memphis, and the more I did, I felt better about the matchup for Florida State for a couple of reasons. Memphis employs a 3-3-5. Now, they walk some guys up to change the look. They try to time the snap count and things like that, but they're not terribly physical at the point of attack, at the line of scrimmage. Your down linemen ought to be able to block here in this situation. Your offensive lineman ought to be able to get a surge against this 3-3-5. Also, the corners play off receivers. They haven't really faced anybody who could throw the ball. North Alabama wasn't any good at all, and Troy was struggling as well. Troy played off the ball, so the Hennigan kid from Memphis just threw it underneath and was really patient. If you can get off the damn field, which Florida State's defense has not been able to do, you got a chance to execute on offense here for the first time this year, I think. And you've had 2 weeks to get ready to do it, as you alluded to. I do think if Florida State is physical, and they haven't been through 2 games, but if they choose to be, if they just choose to care and invest, they have an opportunity to push Memphis around a little bit here.
What about you, Corey? Do you think a message has been sent out by the staff? Hopefully the tape has sent enough of a message, but do you think Mike Norvell trying to make these guys play a little bit more loose, have a little bit more fun, is the buzzword we heard this week? Is that something that, gives you hope that they can change, or is it just simply you saw what you saw from this team throughout the preseason camp that exists somewhere in this roster and they can figure it out on Saturday?
Yeah, there's 2 things. Number one, I like Jeff's tact better that I don't want to concentrate too much on Florida State because there's nothing good to concentrate on. So maybe it is a matchup. Maybe Georgia Tech and Boston College. Now it pains me to say this. Maybe they weren't great matchups, especially for the Florida State defense. That was not a great matchup. Maybe this plays more into Florida State's strengths. You think you have a pretty good pass rush when you're facing a normal-ish offense. Maybe your cornerbacks haven't really been challenged yet, but you feel like your secondary, at least coverage-wise, could be a strength. That hasn't even been tested yet, really, through the first 2 games. But it feels like it's blind hope when it comes to the Florida State offense. We hope they're better. And maybe, guys, it's just the law of averages. It's 2024. You can't suck every game you play offensively, right? Like you can't. Not when you have what you think is a good coach. It can't keep happening. I know we can talk about the quarterback, and we will, but I feel like they're due to play well. And if they don't, then, oh no, what is this season turning into? But I just feel like they're due to play well, not because practice, not because I believe necessarily in this quarterback, just because I see it all over the country every week, and it's Florida State's time, you hope, you think, to actually put a game together offensively.
All right, who does the onus fall on Saturday? I mean, I know the head coach is the head coach. He's also kind of your quasi-offensive coordinator. Is it going to fall on Mike Norvell in this offense to pull things out for Florida State on Saturday, or do you think it's going to be on Adam Fuller in the defense to finally kind of rise up?
No, to me, it's definitely the offense. Like, look, if you'd have told me before the season that neither of the first two opponents would have scored even 30 points, I'd have been like, well, Florida State's going to be 2-0. And instead, they're 0-2, and they've scored 31 points total. They scored 3 touchdowns in 2 games, 2 in their last 17 drives. That's pathetic. So it's on the offense. The offense has to look like a 2024 college football offense and put points on the board. They have not played great defenses by any stretch, and now they're playing, I would think, maybe the worst of the 3, certainly on par with Georgia Tech and Boston College. Maybe they should be able to move the ball and score points. You're not playing Clemson, you're not playing Georgia. Go score some points. I definitely think this game has to be on the offense. You can't count on the defense to shut down Memphis. Memphis has good players on that side of the ball.
Yeah, Hennigan's patient too. He'll take the underneath stuff, but I think Florida State's corners will come up and play man press and really make him have to make some throws. Occasionally he will. To Corey's point, you're going to give up some points here. I think the defense has to be very aggressive. I agree the onus is on the offense if you had to pick a side, but this defense has to find a way to get off the field. There have been way too many third and manageables for opposing teams. The reason these offenses are staying on the field is it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. Mike alluded to it this week with his press availability that they have the whole playbook available to them time and again on offense, opposing offenses do, because they're not getting them behind the chains. I would expect to see a much more aggressive defense here, a physical defense that puts them behind the chains. And now you got a chance to let your offense go to work because you get off the damn field.
I almost just want to ask, just give you like a ... question here, Corey, but just quarterback expectations, ... Is it DJ's show from start to finish? Do you think Brock gets in there? Is it a good thing if Brock does get in there for Florida State's chances?
No, I don't think it's a good thing necessarily because he's not starting. So I'm of the opinion that if Brock Glenn gets into the game, there's certainly a possibility it will be because the starter's not playing well. And that's not great. I mean, you brought him in for a reason. You do think he's the better of the 3 quarterbacks. And if he goes and lays an egg in the first quarter again, or the first 3 or 4 drives, and you have to go to your backup, now he's going to give you some juice because of his legs. But that's not ideal. Ideally, the kid that's played 45 games of college football will look better, play better, and he gives you the best chance to win. But there's no reason to believe through 2 games that'll happen. It's just blind hope. Really, it is. There's until he proves it in Doak wearing the Florida State uniform, there's nobody that's going to take to just assume he's going to play well. And I know he's felt all kinds of pressure, been in every situation possible. He's going to get booed at home pretty mercilessly if he starts out slow again. And that's the life for DJ. And that's a lot of extra weight going into just trying to win a game, period.
Jeff, what do you think? This week in practice, it hasn't been any dissimilar than what we saw through preseason camp. And that's kind of, DJ being DJ and Brock being behind DJ. But we've seen 2 games now. Like, is there enough that even if Brock doesn't have a great week of practice, which he frankly has not had a week of practice where he knocked down the door and took that job away from DJ, is that still, can you rationalize putting Brock in the game early, I guess, if things don't go Florida State's way?
If DJ gets off to another slow start, at some point you would have to concede that practice is not the same as games, and that he may be a practice all-star currently, but has been an in-game failure. If that happens yet again, if he's missing wide open guys, opportunities to continue drives and sustain some semblance of an offense, I don't think you would have a choice. I don't think it's ideal. To Corey's point, I think you want to play the guy that's been the better quarterback throughout camp and throughout these practices. But at some point, Mike would have to look inside and say, well, if we're going to continue to play this poorly on game day, I don't have a choice but to find out whether or not Brock just might be a gamer. He might be a guy that I throw in there and I utilize his legs. He'll run really hard, and you build a game plan around his mobility. At this point, DJ doesn't look like the same runner that he was a year ago. He doesn't run with the same conviction that he did at Oregon State. He's obviously not as accurate as he was at Oregon State either. This has been a tough watch so far. So if none of the traits that you believe in that you see in practice from DJ are showing up on game day, well, then what's the point? I don't care how good he is at practice. Lots of people can be good at practice. You got to win games. Nobody's trying to win Wednesday. You got to win on Saturday. So at some point, you would have to pull the trigger. I don't think he wants to. Now, if they lose 2 or 3 more games and you're really playing for nothing, you'll have no choice but to play all your young kids, because at that point you're playing for next year.
Also, I would say if it starts slow and look, man, if the running game continues to look like this and sputter, that's where I think maybe you don't have a choice. You've got to get some juice in the running game. And if it means, I don't care if it's Wildcat or if it's Brock Glenn, you've got to have a better athlete taking the snaps that gives you the option to run the ball, that makes the defense have to respect the quarterback. And I would say this, if Brock Glenn does get in the game on Saturday, I would tell him, buddy, you are not sliding. You are a running back. You are a running back that happens to throw the ball. You've got to run with physicality. But Brock Glenn hasn't been tackled much in the last 2 years. But I'd be like, man, don't worry about being hurt. We don't want you to get hurt. Don't be dumb. But go run. Your legs are the reason you're in the game. So go give us life with your legs is what I'd say. And again, it sounds like we're talking about Castellanos or Jordan Travis. Right. Brock Glenn isn't that. But Brock Glenn is certainly not DJ either. DJ's the statue of David.
Yeah.
He just doesn't move. Brock Glenn can at least move a little bit and give you some mobility on the edge.
Yeah, I think Brock's a plus runner. I think he is.
He is, but he's not. I don't want people to think he's a track star.
No, God, no. And no, not at all. But it does change the math for a defense. So I'm with you on that.
He was racing to the pylon during Wednesday's practice, and he wasn't going to make it. And Matt Lasser was standing right next to me. I'm like, oh, don't do it, Brock. And he pulled up and he ran out of bounds. And I'm like, thank you for not going for it.
Yeah.
But don't do what Corey says and go for it, though, Brock. Preserve your body, everybody. Preserve your body.
No way, man. No way. You only live once, Brock. Go play some football.
Speaking of Matt Lasser, he's going to break things down on the Memphis side, although Jeff's given us a little bit of a taste. We're going to take a deeper dive into the Tigers and what to possibly fear on their side of the football next here on the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Your favorite football team doesn't stop pushing its limits on the climb to the top, and neither does a global power technology leader like Cummins. Cummins has released its new QG4000i generator and is taking it across the country to show America that whether it's turbo diesel engines or taking it easy in your RV, life is a little bit better with a touch of the Cummins lifestyle. The Onus Unplugged Tour is crisscrossing the country, including a stop in South Bend, Indiana, home of Notre Dame, when the Fighting Irish host Florida State on November 9th. FSU will play like a champion. You come by and tailgate like one. Follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram for updates, and don't forget to get involved every week in generating discussion on Wake Up Warchant for your opportunity to win free Cummins swag and a chance at a portable generator or power station. Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Give it a follow. Welcome back. Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Cummins Lifestyle. Follow them on Instagram. Again, the Onus Unplugged Tour going across the country. Check it out. All the cool things you can do with your RV lifestyle by improving it with Cummins products. Again, Cummins Lifestyle, all one word, over on Instagram. Give them a follow. We're not even asking you to spend a single dime. Might need to spend a dime or two when you come hang out at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill for happy hour, 5 o'clock Friday. Hang out with Corey and Jeff. Maybe I'll come out and hang out too. We'll see how it goes, how frisky I'm feeling. All are welcome. All are welcome. Come hang out with them. And don't forget, pregame show 9 a.m. on Saturday for this noon kickoff. Meet and greet over at Hotel Indigo, 10 o'clock in the morning. Hotel Indigo is in College Town, so make it over. It's right on your way pretty much to Doak Campbell Stadium. So come hang out with the crew, warchant.com, over at Hotel Indigo. Again, Florida State taking on Memphis, number 25. Last time we looked at the line before we hit record on this, was what, 6.5 you said, Jeff?
6.5 with a total of 52.
Unbelievable. What to think with this matchup? Again, Jeff gave you a little bit of a sample of some of the things that we should be keeping our eyes and ears open for. Matt Lasser, though, caught up with Jonah Dillon from the Commercial Appeal. That's a newspaper in Memphis, to get the lowdown on the 2-0 Tigers.
All right, everyone. Today we have Jonah Dillon of the Memphis Commercial Appeal to tell us more about this Memphis Tigers team. We'll start with the Memphis offense. Quarterback Seth Hennigan, one of the best quarterbacks in Memphis history. What should we expect out of him?
It's been kind of up and down the first 2 weeks. Memphis hasn't needed Seth Hennigan to be great at all in the first 2 games. The defense has powered this team, and then the running game was really good against Troy. But Seth Hennigan, like you said, is somebody who's been very successful at Memphis over his career. He's already Memphis's all-time leading passer, and he broke that record during his junior year. So he's one of the top quarterbacks. Look, Mike Norvell said it on Monday. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. And I think that's an opinion that's shared by a lot of people. And he's going to have to take his game to that level on Saturday, because the way that they've played, they've looked a little bit out of sorts, maybe a step off on some of the downfield passes. Now, there was also a lot of pass interference calls against Troy last week, so that was part of it. but I think I would expect more from him in the passing game going into this game.
Yeah, then as we go into the weapons, right, the running backs, wide receivers, Sutton Smith out for the year with a knee injury, didn't play last week, and Mario Anderson Jr., South Carolina transfer, looks like he's been doing well going into that role.
Yeah, it looks like Mario Anderson is definitely going to be the bell cow type running back now moving forward, and he played really well last weekend against Troy. Receivers, Memphis brought back a lot of the guys from last season. Rock Taylor is the best returning wide receiver in the AAC. Mira Blankenship was really good last year, and so was Kobe Drake. So you look at that three-man kind of starting receiver core right there, and it's as strong as there is, certainly in this conference. And Memphis is really happy with the depth they have at that position as well. In terms of running backs, like you said, Sutton Smith out for the season. So Greg DeLosier is somebody who's going to serve as that kind of change of pace running back. We've seen a little bit of that in the first 2 games. And I would expect to see him involved again on Saturday.
Yeah, then as we get to the trenches up front, the offensive line, a lot of transfers here is what I notice. I think 3 out of the 5 starters or expected starters are transfers. How has that been going of getting together, working as a unit? How have they been so far?
Yeah, they looked a little bit like they were figuring some things out in the first game against North Alabama, especially in the run game. Like you said, 3 transfers, and the 2 guys who are coming back are playing new positions. So essentially you're looking at a new starter at all 5 positions. And so obviously it makes sense that it's going to take them some time chemistry-wise. And a new center for Seth Hennigan, which is a big deal because Jacob Likes had been the center and they had their relationship that was really close. And so now you got Trent Holler coming in, and he's played well, but they have been still working on, chemistry and stuff. And I think that the running game, the way that they played on Saturday, is going to give them a lot of confidence. They're going to feel good about where they are, especially given what we've seen from Florida State's defensive front so far.
Yeah, so you say defensive front. We'll go to the Memphis defensive front and a little bit of the linebackers. Linebackers, Elijah Herring is one that sticks out to me because that's actually someone I wanted Florida State to go after in the transfer portal in this spring window. But what do you see from that run defense, the up front linebackers? We'll get to the secondary after.
Yeah, I mean, the linebackers are the strength of this defense. They're really what the defense was built around, because this is a new defensive coordinator, and Jordan Hankins brought in a lot of transfers, a lot of new faces, and basically built a new defense around Chandler Martin, who's Memphis' star linebacker. Elijah Herring comes in to play alongside him and kind of had a breakout game on Saturday against Troy. Just basically dominated the game in a way that you just don't see very often from a linebacker or any defensive player. And so that was really impressive. And they've looked good in terms of, they're doing a lot of different things defensively. They're doing a lot of things aimed at kind of confusing opposing offenses. And they've been really successful so far. They haven't needed the secondary to make plays. The secondary has been pretty effective tackling-wise, which has also been big, especially against the run. So you look at these linebackers, and again, that's the strength of the defense. And especially if they can get downhill in the run game, it's really hard to figure out ways to attack this defense.
Yeah, and then lastly, we'll go into the secondary. AJ Watts looks like a guy who stands out. There's a bunch of transfers, a lot of experience here. What should we expect there?
Yeah, AJ Watts and Kobe Minor is a cornerback. He came in the spring. They needed to fill a very specific position as really a starting caliber cornerback, and he comes in from Indiana and has looked really good so far, especially his tackling. Look, we've seen, like I said before, they haven't been tested. They haven't needed to come up with huge plays. But there's a lot of new faces. You've got Greg Rubin and Darius Coffey who are coming back. And look, this defense has more new players than returning players. And so it makes sense to think that there's still going to be some kinks to work out over the first couple weeks. And like I said, we haven't seen the secondary tested. And so that's going to be a big question mark if Florida State tries to throw the ball downfield. How do they hold up against that offense?
All right, thanks to Jonah and thanks to Matt Lasser. Appreciate the insight. So let's turn again to this game, the impact, I guess, of it, Corey. Is there more to gain for Florida State or more to lose on Saturday? I know that might sound crazy to a lot of people, but it's not a conference game. And listen, at this point, I know people aren't thinking about that. Corey, you think that people aren't thinking about that, but I think a lot of the folks that are watching this are still holding on to hope that you can maybe miracle something out of this ACC conference slate. So you could make things better with the win against Cal, or is everything focused right now on Saturday and getting this thing right now?
Well, yeah, no, you need to win this game. If you don't win this game, you start out 0-3 with this schedule. The fan base will they won't tune out, but they've lost all hope for 2024, and they're going to really start questioning every time you lose. And if you lose this game, there are certainly more losses coming. So now you're staring at not even going to a bowl if you lose this game. And look, man, I've talked about this for the last 2 weeks, really. This program needs some sunshine, man. It needs to feel good about itself. It needs to have a good day. And it's not had a good day since it beat Louisville and Charlotte. and it had the NFL draft. Those are the last 2 good days this program has had. They've suffered a horrible beatdown in a bowl game. They lost some guys on National Signing Day. They start out the season horrifically. They need to feel, this fan base needs to feel good about itself again. And this program desperately needs a win. I don't want to have to go to Champaign again. I don't want to have to dump Champaign on myself or ask a question that gets Norvell turning this thing around again. I've done all I can for this program. It's now time for these players to make plays.
I guess it sounds crazy sitting here at 0-2, Jeff, to ask you this question, but is there more for Florida State? Will they gain more if they win against Memphis? The momentum, I don't want to call it momentum, but at least just the relief, the exhale from the fan base, or is there more for them to lose? Because if things don't go their way on Saturday, then this snowball, threatens to become maybe an avalanche.
Yeah, they got to stem the tide of misery. To Corey's point, this has been not just awful. It's unsettling. It's incomprehensible. It's left people absolutely bewildered. We were talking off the air, Aslan. I'm going to bring it to the air. Here you go, buddy. I'm airing our dirty laundry. I want to know how in the world a coach engineers a 13-0 season, and through 2 games, there's a contingent of this fan base who's done with them. They're off of them for life. How is it possible that you could go 13-0 and through 2 games the very next season, people are wondering, man, I think this guy's clueless. Maybe we should push to go bring in Lane Kiffin. This is awful. Now, I'm not saying I'm there, and I'm not even saying that's reasonable. I am saying that there are maybe 10 to 15% of this fan base that are thinking, I don't think a great coach has this happen. Now, I think they may be wrong, and modern football is changing for a lot of reasons. I don't want to go down that road. But it is really difficult to wrap your mind around the fact that this is the same coaching staff and the same head coach that engineered the turnaround of turnarounds in rapid fire ways through the transfer portal and had an undefeated season and won the ACC again and once again launched Florida State back into relevance amongst the nation's elite. And now you're wondering whether or not you have a chance to beat Memphis at home in week 3. And if you don't, will you win 2-3 games this season at all? They've got to find a way to get some positive momentum going. I think if you win this game, there's an actual path to 3-2. And at 3-2, you're welcoming Clemson, and all of a sudden you're believing. Right now, man, this is a group that has to win a football game and get people back believing that this program is not as god-awful as it looks.
And it's not, I don't think, Jeff, it's not just W's and L's.
Right.
Those are the most important things, obviously. It's the way it's looked. You have not been unlucky. You've been pushed around by 2 straight teams. You were lucky to even be in the game against Georgia Tech.
Correct.
So that's what's, I think, so concerning. It's not like they came down to the last set. I mean, I know the Georgia Tech game did, but it's not like you played well and got unlucky, a couple bad fumbles, a crazy play. You kind of got controlled both games. And your offensive and defensive line did jack squat. They were not very good by mostly. And you weren't physical. You were the least physical of the 2 teams. That's what people want to see, man. Yes, the W is all that matters. We get it, or mostly all that matters. But go win the right way. Go punish people. Go play fast. Go play physical. That's supposed to be a Mike Norvell trademark, and through 2 games, that to me has been the most concerning part, is that's not there at all. They have been by far the less physical of the 2 teams.
Well, and let me just add to that point. You can go back to last year. Obviously, you mentioned the Louisville win. Now, we know there are different reasons for all of this, but they didn't play well on offense. So You mentioned the Georgia game. You score 3 points. You win the Louisville game, whatever that was, 16-6. You didn't look good against Florida. Your offense, Jordan had to run against North Alabama and broke his leg because your offense looked terrible. Your offense was awful against Pitt. You were underwhelming on offense against Miami. We are now going back 6, 7, 8 games worth of not good offensive football, even to the end of Jordan's career. So now people begin to feel the weight of that, hey, wait a minute now, has this guy lost it? This is an offensive-minded head coach, noted for his game planning and play calling, and they can't score. They struggle to move the ball and have now going on for 8 games.
They put it on North Alabama those final 3 quarters, though. Remember that now. Remember that.
All right, let's get a key to victory from both of you guys. Jeff, I think this is the game that we need to see the fruits of Battle's End's labor and everybody that supports them. with Marvin Jones Jr. and Patrick Payne to have a standout performance. They haven't had a lot of chances to get into pass rush situations. Papucha said it on Monday. Norvell said on Tuesday, you earned the right to rush the passer. Florida State needs to create some situations where this pass rush can help create some turnovers. So I think they're going to have to rattle this quarterback to get the best of Memphis on Saturday. What's your key to victory for Florida State on Saturday?
Yeah, you got to tackle, guys. They've got two good running backs. One of them's 5'9". He's thick. He's 210 pounds. He's a smart player. He's played a lot of football. But if you want to get him on the ground, you can. He's not 6'4", 235. It's not like you're tackling Herschel Walker out here. You got to want to bring it and get these guys behind the chains. If you do that in the early downs and win first down, as you're alluding to, you got the chance to rush the passer on third down. Hennigan is not one of these mobile quarterbacks that's going to run all over the field if you break contain or something like that. So I think you got a chance to know where he's going to be and get after him and pin your ears, but you got to win first and second down in order to do that. Florida State keeps putting themselves defensively in a position where it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 for opposing offenses. Everything's on the table at that point, and they haven't been overly physical, so guys tend to fall forward and get those first downs. You've got to win first and second down. You got to want to come up and tackle in the run game. That would allow for Marvin Jones Jr. and Patrick Payton to get after the passer on third down.
Interesting you went with Herschel Walker there, not like Earl Campbell or Bo Jackson or even Eric Dickerson. I know he wasn't
a physical
guy.
I did it for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Corey, you want to see more out of the offense. Is your key to victory on Saturday going to be on that side of the ball?
How's about 35 points? Is that allowed, guys? Can this offense, like going back to what Jeff was saying, the last time they scored over 30 points in a game, not counting North Alabama, was Duke. And even that, they were trailing in the fourth quarter and they needed a kick return. The last really good offensive game this team had was Wake Forest, and that was the middle of last season. I want to see this guy scheme open I want to see the players make plays, and obviously it goes back to the quarterback a great deal, although he had Jordan Travis for some of those games and was scoring 24 points. But get into the 30s, get into the mid-30s, look like a competent to good college football offense again. That's all I want to see, because that's everything, Jeff. Like, it's great to have a good defense. You want to have a good defense.
Sure.
But in the modern era of college football, you got to put points on the board, man, especially against the likes of BC and Memphis. You're not playing Clemson this week, man. You've got to go put up some points. The place where playmakers make plays, right? Or whatever the saying is. Let's go see some
playmakers.
Offenses for playmakers. Well, go get some playmakers to go make some plays.
More stars come to shine as well. All right, only one thing left to do, and that's make picks. The three dudes on the screen, plus the rest of the Warchant.com staff. That's coming up right after this on the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Your favorite football team doesn't stop pushing its limits on the climb to the top, and neither does a global power technology leader like Cummins. Cummins has released its new QG4000i generator and is taking it across the country to show America that whether it's turbo diesel engines or taking it easy in your RV, life is a little bit better with a touch of the Cummins lifestyle. The Onus Unplugged Tour is crisscrossing the country, including a stop in South Bend, Indiana, home of Notre Dame, when the Fighting Irish host Florida State on November 9th. FSU will play like a champion. You come by and tailgate like one. Follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram for updates, and don't forget to get involved every week in generating discussion on Wake Up Warchant for your opportunity to win free Cummins swag and a chance at a portable generator or power station. Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Give it a follow. Welcome back in. Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Lots going on this weekend for game day weekend. We've got the meet and greet Friday night, 5 p.m., Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Jeff and Corey, free Vitamin Energy on hand. Come grab some while supplies last. Pre-game show, 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Meet and greet, Hotel Indigo, 10 o'clock in the morning, right there in College Town, right in the shadow of Doak Campbell Stadium. And don't forget, post-game show is always with Gene Williams and Tom Lang, 10 to 15 minutes after what we hope is the first win of the season. Let's go ahead and tell you what we think the game's going to be, but psych, you know how this all works out. We go last. We let Gene Williams and everybody else at warchant.com make their picks first. So with that said, Gene.
I honestly have no idea how this game's going to go. Nothing would surprise me. After last week's result and play on the field, I just don't know what Florida State's going to bring to the table this week. At least they got a bye week to get some stuff together. The bad news is, Memphis is a quality team coming in, again, with an experienced quarterback who's going to run a lot of motion, confuse the defense. But I'm going to have to go Florida State. They're a 6-point favorite in this one. I will say they have the advantage on special teams. That's it, and I think they win this one on a Fitzy field goal. and special teams will be the difference. So give me the Noles 27, Memphis 24.
I'll be honest with you, I've never really liked this game. I didn't like it when it was scheduled. I didn't like the idea of Mike Norvell and Florida State paying his former school a guarantee of, I think, $1.2 million to come to Tallahassee, to come to Doak Campbell Stadium, because you know it's going to be their Super Bowl. Ryan Silverfield, their head coach, used to work for Mike Norvell. The competitive juices will certainly be high. That's a team, those Memphis players, even though most of them did not play for Mike Norvell and his coaching staff, they know them. They know they came from Memphis. It's just a great opportunity for Memphis to kind of plant their flag against a team that's supposed to be one of the top Power 5 teams in the country. So I didn't like this game back then. Now the fact that Florida State is 0-2 and the way they're playing, I like it less. But I'm still going to take the Noles. I haven't given up the hope just yet. I think after 2 games, 2 very different games offensively, Mike Norvell, I think, should have a better idea of what this team can or can't do offensively. And then I still believe in the talent on this defense. I don't think they're that far away. I think they were supposed to be a really good defense this year. I haven't changed my opinion about the individual players. They just have to play as a group. So I think Florida State's going to win this game, and I'm going to go with Florida State 28, Memphis 24. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm not predicting that Florida State's figured everything out and they're just going to roll, but I do think the Noles are going to win this game and improve to 1-2 on the season, and we'll see if we can get some positive juju from there.
I'm ready to be hurt again. I think you are too, but I don't think we're going to get hurt this weekend. That's the beauty about being ready to be hurt again. I like Florida State's chances to win, broken record, on both lines of scrimmage. This is a game where you just ask yourself one simple question. Do you care to be there? Do you care to play tough? Because if you do, I think Florida State has a chance to impose its will. Memphis defensive front, the 3-down lineman look, can be beaten. Memphis offensive line isn't that great either. Florida State's got a chance here, and I'm calling not for a 40-burger, but it feels like a burger-worthy score. 35 points for Florida State's offense. They give up just 21. Florida State wins 35-21 over Memphis.
All right, so going into this week, I was a little nervous. I wasn't super confident in Florida State in this game just because Memphis is a playoff contender for that group of 5 spot. They're 25th in the coaches poll, just outside the AP poll. I think they had the 5th most votes for teams that weren't picked, so basically number 30 in the country according to the AP poll. I do think Florida State will be able to finally get this one out. I think you have more talent just because they're a group of 5, and I think that'll go well for them. And I think the familiarity between the 2 teams will also help because it's not – both teams are very similar just because of the coaches all kind of come from the same tree. So I do think Florida State wins. I'm going to go Florida State 24, Memphis 21.
All right, thanks, gentlemen, for making your picks. Time now for us to make ours again. Saturday, noon, ESPN, number 25, Memphis taking on Florida State. 6.5 point is the spread Florida State is favored by. Corey Clark, prediction for Saturday, please.
I think it's going to happen. I think they're going to break 30, and I think they're going to get their first dub of the season. Ain't going to be easy. So I'm going to say, what did you say the spread was, Jeff?
6.5.
I'll say 30 to 23.5.
This guy.
What a cover. what a
It's
cover.
a push. It's a push. It's fine.
And he's taking the over. It sounds like that.
I am taking the over. I am taking the over, yeah.
What do you think, Jeff? You've been grinding tape this weekend, and you've got a pulse of things, obviously. What are your thoughts on Saturday?
Well, they got to show up, guys. I can't predict whether or not they care about playing football, but if they do, they should win the football game, and they should cover the football game. So I'll be the optimist and say that they'll do both. Give me the Noles to win 31-20. 31-20 sounds good to me. There we go.
Ooh. I guess I got to be that guy.
Go ahead, buddy.
Got to be that guy. Just didn't see a lot of difference in practice this week than I did the last 2 weeks. I do think it's probably a little bit of a better matchup in some ways, but in other ways, maybe not. I'm going to go Memphis 27, Florida State 20. It's hope to think they're going to score 30 points on somebody at this point.
Does Fitzgerald
right now. So
miss an extra point, or does he make 2 field goals?
I don't know, Corey.
Okay.
I don't think the stuff through. I just run my mouth, man. I just run my mouth.
20 points against Memphis. I don't think we're doing another Warchant report.
We should shut down the site.
The next Warchant report will be for us to call for the firings of everybody over there.
27-24. All right, I'm changing it. 27-24. the person that makes these picks and keeps tabulation of that. I'm going down in the ship 27-24. Last irrelevant question before we leave, everybody. Bonus coverage, bonus content, I guess you could say. Jeff first, then you, Corey. If Florida State was 2-0 right now, and I know, we don't want to go too far down that road, would game day have been in town this weekend? Remind everybody, game day's in Columbia, South Carolina, to watch 2-0 South Carolina take on 1-1 LSU. I feel like top 10 Florida State, they'd probably be like 7th right now, taking on number 25 Memphis. Old coach's school comes to town. We might have had game day if everything went according to plan.
Yeah, and everybody would have been so excited to welcome them to Tallahassee.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer that didn't happen. What a hypothetical, Aslan. Yeah, that's a bummer it didn't happen. And you know what? If my uncle had boobs, he'd be my aunt. Whatever that saying is, it hasn't happened. And yes, no, game. It's pretty sad that game day's in South Carolina for that game. But yeah. Hey, I would tell you this: if Florida State was good this year, they'd be in town for the DJ Clemson game. But I'm not sure 100%. I'm not sure DJ's going to be playing against Clemson. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We certainly appreciate it. Again, don't forget, pregame show, 9 o'clock in the morning, Saturday. Meet and greet, 10 o'clock in the morning. Postgame show going down 10, 15 minutes after the conclusion of the Memphis-Florida State game. And if you don't want to wait until then to see the faces and the voice of Warchant.com, you got the meet and greet Friday, 5 o'clock, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Go do it. Stay connected to Warchant.com. So much more coverage going on over there. For Corey and Jeff, I'm Aslan. And for our panel and our staff, thanks for watching the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins.